I think you're good looking and you're tall and you have great hair.
Yeah, thank you.
But lots of people are good looking and tall.
And I think it's what you've always said about me is that what I'm lacking is personality.
Yeah, I think if you would have prayed for personality.
Yeah, I should have asked for that. Like 6'1", but a little more clever.
What you would have done in my body would have been remarkable.
People would have been like, "That's amazing what he overcame."
It's brother to brother, brothers, two brothers hanging and talking about stuff.
Yeah.
I got nothing to add to the world this week.
Nothing. Oh, I had a funny. It was funny to me. I'm at work. We have kids do announcements, so high school kids, and they speak real loud, aggressively into the microphone that goes out over the speakers.
Right.
So the kid, his tone, he was very had a very excited tone, but it was for Suicide Awareness Week. Like it was just.
He's all peppy.
It was too much. It was like, "Hey guys, it's Suicide Awareness Week. And if you're suffering from depression or suicidal thoughts, come out to the quad during lunch. We'll give you high fives." And I was like,
well, but is that a better... would you rather him be depressed?
well, it is a somber topic. It seems odd. Like, you imagine if you were having suicidal thoughts. You're like,
I can imagine. I could definitely
And
imagine.
how does it feel?
It feels all right.
All right, so maybe he was onto something. Maybe I was being overcritical.
Oh, yeah. Would I want a peppy person? No. Well, let's just say I never want a peppy person in any aspect of life.
Peppy people are the worst. In the morning.
Peppy people.
Afternoon. Peppy people. If you're a peppy person, keep it to yourself.
I wake up fine. I go through my day
such
fine.
Such a low bar.
Yeah, just fine.
I wake up fine.
I wake up fine. I go through my day fine. I eat dinner. I'm fine. At no point am I ecstatic, exuberant. I'm never excited. It's just a slow burn of just mediocrity. So yeah, the pep would annoy me, but that's pretty funny.
Like Richard Simmons, the late great.
He's dead?
Yeah, Richard Simmons passed away.
So you're saying if Richard
Simmons.
I'm thinking of Russell Simmons.
Right.
Yeah, Def Comedy Jam, Def Jam. I don't know.
Do we need peppiness for our most severe cases in the world?
Well,
like Richard Simmons talks to you about famine.
I just feel like Richard would get it. I think there was way more layers to Richard. And I think it's okay to be like, you don't have to be depressive, but you have to treat it seriously.
That's fair. Do you think Richard Simmons wore...
The wind going on back here, dude.
Do you think Richard Simmons wore underwear under those nylon shorts?
I bet you could go back and watch the footage and see some dangle, maybe.
Our podcast last week, one of the comments was the surprising amount of thigh that you were showing. And it was a straight-on shot.
I got to be honest with you. I was watching it yesterday or something, and I kept going, did I have underwear on that day? And I was like, it's really remarkable that my balls didn't slip. I mean, it's a G-string.
Right. You were taking leisure wear to the extreme.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to take some risks.
This
is hilarious.
Wow.
There's never
wind.
There's
here.
never a breeze in Bakersfield.
No.
Until now. It's our first breeze. That's
funny.
Almost a storm here.
Yeah. I almost got blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a tornado.
What were we talking about?
Who knows? Nylon and penis.
Oh, my thighs. Yeah. I mean, it's regrettable. It was a regrettable look. I didn't realize I crossed my legs so much. Like it's at such a high.
Real high.
A real high leg cross.
Yeah, like a high, almost like you were pulling your knees up.
Like I felt like it was like I'm trying to show my butthole to somebody.
I will say, watching it, you're surprisingly flexible. Like more than I thought you would be.
I have weird. I actually can have great hip flexibility.
You got great hip mobility.
Like I can almost do the splits.
You have like ballerina hips.
Yes, but I can't kick above my my knees, basically.
But you could do Jean-Claude Van Damme side kicks both directions.
I can kind of go that way pretty good.
Okay.
I can get down there. I can get down on it. I don't know what it is about it. My hips will open up. I probably should have been a woman.
You have birthing hips.
Yeah, really good.
I remember people used to say that about you. That was one of the things
What?
people said.
That's not cool.
You imagine. Put
That
John
was
in, he's got birthing hips.
Like that's been the family secret
Just,
for
you
the
know,
last 45 years.
You had the easiest time in any childbirth. Your pelvis was just tilted correctly. I saw a post online. It was a screenshot somebody posted. Somebody they knew had an OnlyFans or something, and the video, it said 3 views.
Yeah.
And there's a world of unsuccessful amateur pornographers just putting stuff out there 3-5 views at a time.
You never think about that.
It's like YouTube. There's YouTube channels
like
that
us.
have no subscribers,
Like us.
1 subscriber, right? 30 views.
We get more than 30.
Yeah. But
you never
the genre
think of
they
the-
went is
You never think of the OnlyFans
that's like in the 10th
girl
percentile.
that is
Like
she's been grinding away literally for 2 years, and she has 9 followers.
9 followers at like $3 a pop, and she's like, I'm paying for milk.
She's
It's
like, I just can't figure this algorithm
what's
out.
going on? You guys, are you following me? Like, what's going on? Her family has to lie.
And
They're
it doesn't have to do with being hot.
No, that's true.
Plenty of ugly people are crushing it on those things.
Right.
What do you think the secret is to like breaking through into something? Because is it just literally just stick-to-itiveness and you just kind of grind it out and just don't quit?
I think
It's
that,
your only chance. Is to not quit.
yeah. If you don't,
can't,
if you don't
quit,
quit, you're still in the game. There's something
is
I don't know. There
the
is an
it factor?
There is an it factor. I think there's.
Do you
an it
feel like
factor.
you have the it factor?
I think I had it, maybe once.
I think you're good looking and you're tall and you have
Thank
great
you.
hair.
Yeah, thank you. But
lots of people are good looking and tall.
And I
have
think
great
it's
hair.
what you've always said about me is that what I'm lacking is personality.
Yeah, I think if you would have prayed for personality.
Yeah, I should have asked for that. Like 6'1", but a little more clever.
What you would have done in my body would have been remarkable.
People would have been like, "That's amazing what he overcame."
Yeah, had you had to try a little bit.
Right. Genetically deficient, rough looking.
Like if you showed up to high school,
you're right.
4'11",
Yeah.
you would have then taken that, and you would have just skyrocketed.
Probably a wrestling champion.
No, you probably
3rd place.
Yeah, I wouldn't say champion
Yeah, probably. Okay, that's fair.
on the team.
I make varsity.
No.
No, okay. But like surprise win at JV. Do you think it's one of those where everybody claps for me when I
Like a Rudy?
Yeah, right.
Like a Rudy Rudiger.
Right, but like I don't
Was
win.
his name Rudy Rudiger?
That sounds right.
That's
Do
crazy.
you ever hear the story that Joe Montana hated him?
And he was Vince
Joe
Vaughn.
Montana was the
That's Joe
quarterback.
Montana.
Yeah, he's like, it didn't happen like that. Nobody liked that guy.
Can you? Yeah, see, I like when people get real about like stuff. They're like, yeah, no, he was a piece of shit.
Hated that asshole.
Yeah, I think you got to be an asshole to be famous now.
I heard the movie Hoosiers,
Yeah,
very famous Indiana
Love
basketball movie, right? Gene Hackman,
let her fly in and out.
Dennis Hopper.
I think that quote to myself every day because that's my life.
That's your life. That's your secret.
3, 2, 1, let her fly in and out. That's
your Ted Lasso.
That's how I manage my hopes.
That's your advice to anybody
one of the
coming
I think
up.
Hoosiers is one of the best sports movies ever made.
So you're not just a person who believes that you miss every shot you don't take, but you also almost make every shot you do take.
I think I would say if I would describe my life as a person and as an artist, it would exactly be that. I've actually never heard it put. That's so perfect. I almost make every shot I take. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good epitaph.
I almost make every shot I take. That's exactly right.
Let her fly in or out. John Wells, 1979 to probably 2-3
They're like,
years
how
from now.
how was John on that project? They're like, he almost got it.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, we were surprised how close it got. It's like the guy that shoots it from 3/4 of the court, and it like hits the backboard, and everybody goes, "Oh!" do, and they're kind of happy because it almost went in, but it still doesn't count. You take a lot of shots and almost make them.
I've done pretty okay for myself.
Yeah.
Not pretty well.
Pretty okay. Which
anyways,
fits with your vibe of waking up fine.
I wake up all right.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm like, yeah.
Did I swish it? No. Did I make it?
There we go.
But I threw the shot up.
Yeah, I'm not like, I got to go do this shit. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's what's happening. Okay,
Let's
so
go.
in Hoosiers, Dennis Hopper and Gene Hackman apparently was an asshole on the set. He thought the movie was terrible.
Okay.
So he was filming it. He was sitting down next to Dennis Hopper, and he goes, we're gonna be out of Hollywood after this. This is just not gonna work. So they wrap the set or wrap the shoot. They go off. He's doing stuff. They come back in to screen the movie before it goes out and premieres. And we sat down, watched the movie, and I looked over at the director and I go, how the fuck did you do that? He's like, it's impossible that this was going to be a good movie.
Well, editing, man.
Yeah, it was. Because it's a great movie.
I think it's got a lot going for it. It's a sports movie. Predominantly white cast.
Until the finals when they beat the all-black team.
Yep. That's a big win for us.
Yeah. They beat, I don't know who they beat. Some nondescript team from Indiana.
Yeah.
What's the best basketball movie? You worked at Blockbuster the same length of time I worked at Blockbuster, about.
Well,
we got Hoosiers.
Hoosiers is one of my personal
We have
faves.
Blue Chips.
Blue Chips
Nick
is great.
Nolte. Shaq.
And then
Game.
Who were the other guys?
He got Game.
Who were the other guys in Blue Chips?
I have no idea.
Eric Montrose?
Was
He's
he
a
in that?
white guy.
Is he like a backup center?
No, he was, like...
I don't remember.
Oh, He Got Game, I think, is...
Denzel Washington.
Oh, then you got...
Ray Allen's
then
young.
you got... what's the one with...
Air Bud. No, that's not one.
With I keep wanting to say Veen Rames, but it's not Veen Rames. With Woody Harrelson and Blade.
Oh, yeah. White Man Can't Jump.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that could have been based on our lives.
White Man... Yeah. Because one of us was just banging a smoking hot Latina.
Right.
I just will never forget seeing those chichas, dude.
At that time, that was the best. Rosie Perez. Chef's
Dude.
kiss on those.
Dude, the United Artists at the East Hills Mall in Bakersfield got like $40 out of me going back to see that, just to see them.
That was the Cinema 19 at the
dude.
time.
Yeah. Hoop Dreams.
So we got Hoop Dreams.
But that's a documentary, so like, do you put that in the same thing?
No.
He Got Game is excellent.
He Got Game's great. White Man Can't Jump. Basketball Diaries.
He's like, God forgives, why can't you? That's my He Got Game quote.
Well, you named him Jesus Shuttlesworth, and if he decides not to forgive you, Jesus doesn't have to.
What a name, dude.
It's a great name. Spike Lee crushed in that movie.
I ran into Spike Lee once.
Really?
Oh, I literally ran into him.
Do tell.
I was crossing the street.
Okay. Where at?
This was in Brooklyn.
All right.
This was right in like Fort Greene area in Brooklyn. He has offices over there,
Okay.
which I didn't know at the time. And I was kind of going through the cars, they're parked, but like you kind of cut in the corner. And he was coming across the same thing, and we literally bumped into each other.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, hey man, I like your work. He's like, oh yeah, thanks. He goes off to his thing. Well, it just so happens that 3 weeks later, they're shooting the television version or the online version of She's Gotta Have It, the series version of that show.
Okay, gotcha.
And my friends Matt and Margaret were shooting at their house.
Oh,
in
that's
Brooklyn.
Cool. Very cool.
So, and then Margaret calls me. She goes, "Hey, they want to use one of your." They had a painting of mine, so they're like, "Oh, they want to use your painting in the show." And I was like, "Absolutely."
Do you
great.
have to sign off on those things?
Yeah, I had to sign.
Oh, that's cool.
Although the show comes out and it's just a foggy thing, it doesn't matter. But so anyway, so they're like, she's like, "Hey, you could come down, you can, hang out." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So I went down and hang out in the set, downstairs, whatever. And then she's like, "Hey, do you want to meet Spike? They're on a break." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I walk up, and it was like the greatest thing in the world because he's like, "Hey!" Like he knew me because he remembered me from us bumping into each other. And I was like, "Yeah, what? Flex, flex, flex." So that was a day that things were a little higher than
That's
just
making
okay.
a shot.
I made that
You
shot.
made that shot.
But again, I didn't do anything.
When your skill is involved.
Isn't that wild, though?
Yeah, when your skill is involved, it's not going in.
Now, we're not best friends, me and Spike.
No.
No. We didn't even really talk. He just said, hey, how you doing? And I said, I'm good.
Everybody's like,
I love your
have
work.
you met him before? You're like, yeah,
Love
I've
it.
met him a couple times.
Well,
you ran into a lot of people, though, in New York, because they filmed
like
a lot.
physically?
How many people did you physically
Oh, that's my
run
move.
into?
I see Keanu Reeves. I just barrel into him. I'm like, that's how I.
I'll
That's
see
my
him
starter.
again. I'll see him
That's
again.
my starter.
Yeah, it's a long game.
It's a very long con.
yeah, he just you bump into.
Because if I'm ever at a cocktail party, I'm like, hey, do you remember this time?
That was
you were
you.
in
I
Milwaukee,
remember.
right? And it was snowing. And this random dude like elbowed you in the chest. He's like, yeah, I actually do. He's like, that was me.
I'm the one that did that. Yeah, I broke your clavicle.
That's my icebreaker.
It's also a good way to like meet a celebrity, but pretend like you don't know him at the first. You're like, oh, hey, whoa.
Yeah, it's a
like
little
you're
flexy.
startled.
Well, what it is Spike knows what's up.
Yeah,
but
he
everyone
understood.
else around and the actors are like, oh, who's this guy? He's a person.
He
And
must
all of a
be
sudden,
important.
All this time, I'm a person. I'm like, no. I just randomly ran into this person on the street. Yeah, I bumped into some people in my days. Well, I mean, it's weird. New York's a weird place. New York's not L.A. L.A., the barrier to entry that is around people that do things at a high level artistically is difficult because they can pick and choose a little bit when they're seen and not seen.
Yeah, you can live behind
In
a
New
gated-
York, it's just you're just there, and this is a beautiful thing about New York. Like, just people are just around. Like Steve Buscemi's around, just around.
Maybe I'm not remembering this.
I'm so itchy, dude. My
That's
elbows.
psoriasis.
Is it?
Yeah.
I have it up here.
That's just scalp itch.
No, it's like it's a bad. Anyway, continue.
It's ointment. Years
Oh,
ago,
How are we doing on time, by the way?
5:30.
All right.
Years ago, maybe I have this wrong. I think you told me you met or ran into Tracy Morgan, the great Tracy Morgan.
Oh, that's a good story.
Is that right? You ran into? Is it?
I was walking to the subway from my apartment, and they were filming. What's this show? OG.
Last OG.
Last OG.
That's a good show. You ever watch it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
They're filming the Last OG on. No, my friend Tom's house. Famous Tom from the podcast that we'll talk about a lot.
The hazmat.
Why was I there?
Hazmat Tom.
I was probably waking up. Oh, yes. I had been kicked out of my apartment by my girlfriend at the time, and I was staying at Tom's house. That's what it was. That's what it was. And they were out of town. They
So
were
you had
in
the
Italy.
look of a man
Well, most of my looks are
on edge.
not defeated. Again, let's go back to the theme of the episode. It's just fine.
Yeah.
If somebody sees me, they go, that guy's fine.
Yeah.
He's
That's
not.
the nice thing about knowing you're not going to make the shot. There's no pressure.
No, so I
just shoot.
So I leave the house, and the trailers are right in front of the apartment, and I walk down like a couple trailers. And then the guy, I just hear, morning! And I look over, and it's Tracy Morgan in tidy whities just standing there smacking his stomach, dude. And I was like, what up, dude? Just kept walking. But I didn't talk to him.
Okay.
But isn't that hilarious? Morning! Just fucking all Tracy'd up. I hear that dude's like exactly that dude, which I really love that.
He's just himself.
Yeah, authenticity.
I
is
like
important.
that. The older I get, the more I like the actors that are basically playing themselves in movies. They're like, I just
I
find a
used
way
to
to be
really
myself.
hate it.
Yeah, now I like it.
Now it's like, no, that's what I want to do.
You know what it is? That's the Hollywood superstar. The superstar doesn't have to play another character.
They play a version of themselves, which I actually now I believe that is what good acting is.
Yeah.
I think it's much harder for me. One, I don't know how to be myself in my regular life, but I think it's much harder to be your authentic self on screen than have like a limp and a lisp.
Okay, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I think that a character in a lot of ways can be easier
So
because you could just kind of like you don't have to take any responsibility for what's going on. You just become that person.
Tom Hanks an A-list superstar?
Yes.
But he plays characters. He's like a real.
Yeah, but you always see him in there. Like when he played the Elvis guy, you knew it was Tom Hanks.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing is they get so big that you're like George
Daniel
Clooney is good in
Day-Lewis.
this.
There's a few actors that are so good that you're like, okay, Like Daniel Day-Lewis is like he's not about that. Like I'm going to be Daniel today. He's a really good actor.
That's
Joaquin
the method actor guys. Maybe maybe the thing for me is that
Kate Blanchett's really. You know who's I think is an amazing actor. Like to play it is Nicole Kidman is such a good actor.
Okay, man, she's had so much plastic surgery. Her
That's
face doesn't
fine,
emote.
dude.
She's in a show.
But it's her face. But she I think she's a really good actor.
You know what she's good at? I think is she's so present. You could tell she's like in the moment. She's living that moment.
Yes.
And I think that's what great actors do particularly well. It's what I was not good at when I was on doing theater.
No, you're a thinker.
Is that the problem was I didn't act enough. I liked the writing being behind the scenes, but the being on stage, a lot of it was like I was just trying to remember.
Yeah, you got to get to the.
So I couldn't be present because I was going, what am I supposed to say after they say the thing?
Well, it's sort of like when I talk with the younger comics in town. It's like, well, leave your notebook down. Don't know what you're going to say. And just get up there. You're not going to die.
Right.
But if you never experience the like no net feeling of not knowing what you're going to, you'll never be able to take what you're saying or what you're writing and turn it into something that's good. I do think there's a certain element of like fear that forces you to like land the thing.
Okay, so this.
It's like I never knew my lines. I only knew my lines well enough to react.
Okay.
But I wasn't afraid to like fuck around with it.
Okay, so this is a question I have then about comedy. So we do this show recently at an HOA, 55 and over,
folks
55
home.
and over.
They were fun.
Community. So you had 55-year-olds up to like 80-year-olds. About 100 people in the room. They wanted us to be PG-13-ish, which you are not.
But I did it.
You did it.
I said the F word twice.
But you asked, you're like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But you have a joke about Jesus that you never back out of, but you were reading the room and you started it twice and then decided not to do the joke.
Well,
what was your reasoning?
The reason
because we didn't talk about it.
Let me tell you, the truth is this. The real reason was when I mentioned Jesus, the silence in the room was remarkable. And so I kind of was like, oh, even if this is good and not what they think it's going to be, running the risk of just offending an 85-year-old person, it just wasn't worth it. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. It's like that's my favorite thing. Like I just kind of was like, well, I got other stuff.
Yeah.
So why pound it? I didn't have there's no cross to die on that one. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't need to prove, because I know that joke is great. And the real reason there's two other reasons. One, you booked the show, you set it up, and I don't want to get invited back. I don't want to fuck up your
right,
shit.
Sure.
And I forget the third one. It was a good one. That it's just okay.
It's just fine. It was.
No,
just
I
fine.
think
it's a good point though, because that's something that like a lot of comedians won't read the room.
Well, I didn't want to lose the momentum of what I feel about that joke.
Oh, that makes sense.
I tell that joke less than every joke I tell because it's freaking great.
You love it.
And not only that, it works, and it's interesting, and it's involved, and it's just a great bit.
Yeah. And
so I tell it, and I know it. I could tell it anywhere, anytime. I'm ready to go. So I don't tell it because in that one chance that it doesn't go, and you're like, it's not any good, man. And that was one of those things is like, do I want to take something that I know is great and like they're not going to laugh at it and then I'm going to doubt every bit of it for the next 10 years?
And that is something that does happen to us is like, oh, I do this joke and then it just doesn't quite work. And then you're like, it was never that good. And you dump it for 6 months. And then...
I mean, it's good. Yeah. Typically, I do like to throw things out there in weird environments if I'm in them to like see if it really works everywhere. But there's certain kind of subjects
And to your point, this is not one of those environments. This is not like a club show or a theater where there's a variety of people. If that same 100 was in a theater amongst 1,000 people, you tell it and go, it's fine if 40 people.
But even that, if I'm hosting a show, I won't tell it.
Sure, that's different.
It's really like I need to be in minute 30 where they know me and because it's involved.
Yeah. You open real like hard. The stuff you open with
I do
is
everything
very aggressive.
hard.
It's very aggressive.
It's very aggressive, but it's just fine. It's fine.
But you get people on your side really quick, which is nice.
Well,
but like
that's
that's
the goal.
definitely one of those, like, we've been with him through all these other things, so we know where he's going.
My
with the joke.
philosophy when I go on stage, I opened for Aaron Belial, who was really funny, and if you people listening, check him out. He's
Just watch Kill
nonverbal.
Tony. He kills
He's
it.
nonverbal, and I didn't even know what I think about it because it's so like it throws your head into the weird space where you're like, what is stand up? And then you're like, I'm a like performance first guy, so I'm like, well, does the performance matter? But then you're like, but then the speaker that's playing the jokes is like it's so good. But anyway, so that's a huge crowd, but I just find I want people to like me, so I find 2 to 3 people that really like me, and I perform to them, and I don't give a crap what anyone else thinks.
You just really believe that if I can get them dying, then people will come along with me.
They're there. It's just because it's just like, okay, they're like then the room blanks out, and I just can do my thing. Because you can't really get the result is what you want. You want the laugh, but you can't need the laugh.
That's the weird conundrum of comedy, right? Is that you have to desire them to like the material and laugh.
It's sex, dude.
But the
You
guy
gotta
that
want
really,
it.
the guy that
You gotta want it.
The guy that needs it ain't
You
gonna
can't
get
need it. It's just they don't know. The audiences don't know that they're like judging you or that they're like really like getting in psychologically. They're connecting.
it. Right.
So they're not aware. So like those reactions are absolutely real.
That's the best part
They're
of comedy.
honest.
The best part of comedy. I think one of the best parts of comedy, it's the most annoying on stage, is the person that's near the front that sits with their arms crossed and kind of like lightly smiles and doesn't really pay attention. And then immediately after the show goes, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, because I'm not a big laugher.
They just don't.
I get it. Oh, dude, the Aaron Blau show, we had a woman that she got into the green room. She wanted to meet me after my set.
Wait, okay. Like she snuck in?
Yeah, she just was. I got off stage and I went to the bathroom, and the next comic was going, so I had some time, and then I went into the green room, and there was just a woman in there.
She was by herself?
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, you can't be in here." She's like, "No, I wanted to meet you," and I was like, "Yeah, you still can't be in here." and then she was really drunk, and I was like, "You're drunk," and she's like, "No, I'm not."
Like a cartoon character?
So I said, "Hey, you're gonna get kicked out, not from me, but they're aware. I could see the staff." And I was like, "You need to go sit down." So she sat down, and then I go up after the next comic, and I come back off stage, and she's back in the green room.
Did you kick her out?
Yeah, they kicked her out.
Okay, so that's unfortunate for her.
What was a real bummer? You want to know what the bummer was? Here I am, just doing okay.
Right.
No, she was so good looking, but she was so drunk that it was like just gross.
It's
And I was
just
like,
real off-putting.
I was like, I don't want to deal with this shit. I'm post crazy.
Was the headliner in the room?
Yeah, Aaron was in the room, but he didn't say anything.
You imagine what he must have been experiencing. He's nonverbal. He types everything to text, and then it says his stuff, right? That's crazy.
Yeah. No, he was in the room the first time, and he was on stage during the second time she went back there, and we were like, you got to get out of
That
here.
is fucking insane.
All right, brother.
Well, you gotta
I
go.
gotta go.
And you gotta go deal with
I
some
gotta
comedy.
You got to give me a ride.
You got a set. All right, brother. Love
All
you.
right, love you.
How about
Love you, brother. It's brother to brother.
Brother.
Two brothers hanging and talking about stuff.
Yeah.